All right, we're back again for part 3. Now, we're on topic 3, and topic 3 right here is going to be finding the solutions to the nearest hundreds. So when you see that, that's your calculator now. So remember I told you there's 3 ways to find your reference angle. One is those special triangles like the pi over 6, pi over 3s. One is the unit circle, which are zeros. It could be pi over 2, pi. Now, this last section is you're going to be using a calculator because you won't be able to find them the other ways. Okay, so let's look at this first example. Okay, so what do we have? We have it isolated, sine's all by itself, and we have that. So we follow those same steps. Remember those steps. So quadrants is the first step. Well, we have a sine that is positive, so we know it's there, and we know it's there. Now we ignore the negative sign. Well, there is no negative sign, so we just go to our calculator now. Using your calculator, be really aware of what we're in here. So in this question, we are in radians. So be sure your mode is on radians. You're going to type in and find the angle. Remember those buttons. Second or shift sine 1 divided by 3. Your calculator to the nearest hundredths, you should get 3, 4. So there is your reference angle. So I know that angle there and that angle there is 0.34. 0.34. All right. So same thing we did before. We want to find theta. Well, it's in the first quadrant. This guy right here is in the first quadrant. So the answer is 0.34. And the other one, we're going to go to quadrant 2 now. And remember, it's going to be pi minus 0.34. So we get our calculator out and we just type that in. And what do we get? We get 2.80. All right, so let's move on to the next question. So here we have a cos, and it's negative. So here and there. Okay, we go find our reference angle, typing into your calculator, second cos 0.6. So remember, it's going to be second cos, ignore the negative sign, really important, 0.625, and out should be the answer of 0.90. So there's that reference angle. Now to find theta, well, in quadrant 2, it's going to be pi take away 0.9. And what do we get? We get an answer of 2.24. And in the third quadrant, we're going to go pi plus 0.9. So pi plus 0.9. And we get 4.04. So there's the answers for B. Now let's go to the next question. Well, if we look at the next one, we don't have it isolated. So we have to do some algebra, some work here. So the first thing we're going to do is just get it over. Do our triple play or our decomposition, whatever you're better at. And we know we're timesing the outside to get negative 8. So I know it's 8 and I know it's 1. And I know it has to be a minus and it has to be a positive. and that goes into there. So that becomes c minus 2 and 4c plus 1. Now this guy comes out as cos x equals 2, and this guy comes out as cos x equals negative 1 over 4. Now just remember that this is over 1, right? And the hypotenuse is less than that, so reject. Now we are going to deal with a cos negative. So we're over here again. And our reference angle there, as we get our calculator out, we type it in. Second cos 1 divided by 4. And you should get 1.32, 1.32. Now we're going to go pi take away. So pi take away 1.32. So we get 1.82, and then we go pi plus, because we're in quadrant 3. 1.32, oops. Plus 1.32, and we get 4.46. So there's the answer for C. All right, let's look at topic 4 now. Topic 4, this is, I call it watch out, because it's all about being able to read really well. All right, so you just have to really read. So I'm just going to show you the difference between these two. So we have a sine 0. So remember, sine 0 is here and here. Now, if I'm looking at this first example, we are including 0 and not including 2 pi. So the answer to this is just 0. That's it. No other answer. But example 2, it's including 0, see the line on the bottom, and it's including 2 pi. So it's 0 and it's 2 pi. So remember, it comes back to there. So just watch out. Now I'm going to show you example 3 here, because we're going to look at some different domains. So I'm going to look at this guy here. So it's the same steps we've been doing all along. We have a cos positive. Well, cos positive we know is in the first and third first and the fourth quadrant. And we know this guy is root 2, this is 1, so I know that is pi over 4. Now, this has got a different domain than when we were used to. Up to this point, it's generally been between 0 and 2 pi. Now, watch out. So, let's do the negative one first. So we're going from the starting block. That's where x is starting. And the theta is going this way. So the answer is negative pi over 4, because you're going that direction. All right? Now, if we do the other one, up in quadrant 1, the positive one, it's going from here to there, so that's positive pi over 4. So in your answer box, you have both of them. Okay? So, determine the exact for each of the solutions in the specific domain. Okay, so let's draw this. So we have a sign that's positive. So we know it's there and there. And we're used to this now. We'll get really familiar with this, because when it's pi over 2 in the bottom, we know it's pi over 4. Now, let's go and do the answer using the domain. Well, we're starting at the first theta is going to negative 180. So that didn't hit anything. See, the triangles are up above. So there is no solution in that direction. Well, let's use yellow for 360. Well, we're going all the way around to there. So we hit it there and we hit it there. So we know the answer for this one will be pi over 4 and pi minus pi over 4, which is 3 pi over 4. Okay? Well, this example, we have to do some isolating, so throw that over. So we have secant equals -2, divide by that. So we have secant theta equals -2 over pi over 3. Now I gave you the hint before. Secant, change the cos, flip. So we have root 3 over 2 negative. Now we have a cos and it's negative. So we know it's here and there. And we know the reference angle right here, or there, doesn't really matter, is going to be, let's just label it 2 root 3 and 1. So it's going to be pi over 6. Pi over 6. Okay, now, once the picture is developed, let's go and do the answer. So this one is going from here all the way to negative pi. So we hit it right there. So we are going negative pi, take away pi over 6. Or I would use positive pi, pardon me. Positive pi, take away pi over 6, which gets us 5 pi over 6. But because we're going this direction, you guys, it's a negative answer, so just watch out. Now, let's use a different color, and let's use yellow for this side. Well, we're going once around, so we hit it. So that's going to be pi, take away that, so it's going to be 5 pi over 6. But if you look at, we're going for 3 pi, so we hit it, there's 2 pi and there's 3 pi, so we hit it the second time. So what we have to do now in this situation is take this answer right here, well, let's go over here, I'm running out of room, 5 pi over 6, and add another complete circle, which is 2 pi. So we are going to get 17 pi over 6 as the other two answers.